hit it like twice and we didn't. We were like talking.
Oh no, it's live.
Okay,
It's live.
So.
Hi, I'm Courtney.
Hi, I'm Farrah, and this is Haunts in the Cabin. Might be a little delayed, y'all. But hey, welcome everybody for our first official episode. So we are so stoked to be here. Hopefully everybody can see us, hear us okay. And Courtney, how are you doing? What's going through your head right now for our first episode?
To be honest, I've had a really weird few days. I'm excited. I have a lot to tell you guys for sure.
Yes.
But yeah. Ooh. It's a lot of weird emotions right now. You guys will see. I'm in a weird place, but we'll get through it.
We'll get there. And let me tell you, I just recently found out about a lot of things with Courtney's home. So she's going to take us on a crazy journey into her haunted house. But before all that good stuff, so we are going to start the show off every Wednesday with a little high strange news update.
Farrah.
I know.
That was amazing. Guys, I haven't seen that yet. That was so cool.
So good evening and welcome to High Strange Update, bringing you all the news of the strange, the scary, and the stupid. I'm your host, Farrah, and we have a lineup of some jaw-dropping stories that might leave you scratching your head in disbelief. So first of all, wildlife showdown. A Texas woman was attacked by a hawk and a snake at the same time while mowing.
No. Dude, while we're on the topic of birds attacking, me and a friend of mine have an ongoing debate on whether or not I would win in a fight with a golden eagle. Do you know how big those things are?
Dude, those are huge.
They're huge. And there's one that's living in my, not in my pasture, but we see it flying around from time to time. And it's the wingspan is 10 feet long. So I've always been I would never win in a fight with one of those things. And
dude, their talons are like raptor claws.
They're insane. I mean, all birds of prey are kind of terrifying like that. But I have now, after having this debate for literally a year, am terrified of birds like that. So Jesus, God bless her.
So I'm going to try this so I can pull up a picture as I'm doing the newscast. Okay. So we're going to see how it works. Let's cancel that. Yeah, we're still learning. So, okay, I want to do what slides? Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to upload a couple things that I had downloaded. So, pictures. If I can find them, who knows?
Wait, are we about to see somebody actively getting attacked by a bird?
Oh, goodness, no, I wouldn't show something, but I just had some pictures of who these people are. But I think,
I was going to say that's the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, I think what I have to do is you have to load them up, preload them up. But, easy. I'm just going to go on with the story because it's a great little story. So a Texas woman had quite the scary encounter while mowing the lawn. Peggy Jones from Sisby near Beaumont, Texas, was in the middle of her garden chore when a snake suddenly fell on her arm out of thin air. As if that wasn't enough, a hawk swooped down and started clawing at her arm repeatedly to try to get the snake. It was a wild scene. Can you imagine that, though?
She was literally like the bait. I can't.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
It is, because if you know a hawk, I mean, they're a predator. Like, they're not going to give up until they get that snake, but she's just going to be in the way. So they're going to fight tooth and nail to get there. Exactly.
Oh, is she okay?
She's okay. Miss Jones recounted her terrifying experience to NBC affiliate KPRC TV, saying, "The snake was squeezing so hard and my arms were waving in the air. And then this hawk was swooping down, clawing at my arm over and over in the midst of the chaos. All she could do was repeatedly cry out, 'Help me, Jesus, help me, Jesus.'"
Oh my gosh, that poor woman.
I know. And after several attempts, the determined hawk managed to grab the snake and fly away, leaving blood everywhere. Miss Jones' husband rushed out to see what was happening, and she was taken to the hospital for treatment. Although she didn't get bitten by the snake, she did sustain cuts from the hawk's claws and bruises from the snake coiling around her arm, because it squeezed hard.
Yeah,
so think of
it was probably a constrictor.
It's not even that a snake landed on her arm. It was attacking her. And then the freaking hawk is attacking it to attack her. I mean, what a crazy mess. Now, at the hospital, it was discovered that there was snake venom on her glasses and the lens was broken. It's truly remarkable that she escaped without any major injuries. Jones considers herself incredibly lucky, especially since she had survived a snake bite before. Despite the scary incident, Miss Jones is back to mowing her lawn, this time with her husband keeping a close eye on her. It's good to know that she's not on this wild encounter by herself. She has her husband there keeping care of her, and it won't stop her from tending to her garden. Stay safe out there, folks.
That is insane.
Right?
I don't know what I was thinking we were going to cover in our first little update, but that was off the chain.
Next Wednesday, you might pick a couple stories that are different from what I do. I got 3 little stories that I'm going to do that piqued my interest and that also were more unexplained, weird, or crazy. It could be a stupid criminal thing, just anything to start the show off, get everybody laughing, everybody scratching their head, thinking, wondering. So here's a next story that I found really interesting. I'm sure many people, maybe they haven't, but Carly Russell, I'm titling this "Strange Tale, No Toddler, No Kidnapping." Now, if anyone has looked at the news in the past couple of weeks, Carly Russell, who is a Alabama woman, had gone missing. She had reported herself missing after she apparently saw a toddler walking alongside of the road. So I'm going to read, a little bit of what I wrote about 2 weeks ago that I was going to cover on a missing person with her, but she ended up being found. So, in a surprising turn of events, Carly Russell, the Alabama woman who had days after reporting a stranded toddler, has now admitted that her story was entirely fabricated. What? Oh, that's right, folks. Through her attorney, Russell issued a statement with the Hoover Police Department expressing remorse for her actions and confirming that no one else was involved in her disappearance. At a press conference, Hoover's police chief, Nick Derzies, read out the statement on Russell's behalf, requesting prayers as she confronts her issues and learns from her mistake. Initially scheduled to meet with the police, Russell's attorney instead provided a written update, leaving many questions unanswered about her motivations and the reasons behind her decision to vanish for 2 days. Now, this is what had happened. Russell had originally informed detectives that she had been kidnapped after reporting the presence of a stranded toddler on an interstate. So now there is actually footage of her car. You can see it pulling along to the right side of the interstate. She's actually on the phone with 911 describing a little white boy around 4 or 5 with maybe reddish hair and a white t-shirt and a diaper, a saggy diaper, it looks like. And you just think of we're in this whole new age of stereotyping, and that just seemed kind of, I don't know, if you want to stereotype in a rude sense manner, to me, that kind of, I took that as like a stereotype.
Right.
It's a white kid with a dirty diaper, like a white trash baby almost. You know what I mean? But she had actually reported and then said that there was a man that came out of the woods, grabbed her. She tried to get away. They grabbed her again. Now, this is what happened when she was apparently gone. She had said that she was blindfolded and taken to a house where she was claimed that she was forced to undress and alleged that she had managed to escape the next day by navigating through the house. I do want to tell you that she had worked for a spa, and it has shown that the night before, she had collected some soaps and a bathrobe, had gone to Target and got some snacks. For her 2 days, and the whole time she was only 600 yards from her house.
Oh my God.
I just thought that was a very strange story.
Wait, so was there ever a toddler at all?
Nope.
Or nothing, like she
called
911 and said, I'm actively being kidnapped.
No, it's weird. Not. No, let me rephrase that.
Oh, okay.
When she was on 911 reporting the toddler, the 911 caller or one of her family members that was on the phone with her after she reported the toddler heard her screaming. Hence, when she got found, that's the story that she gave them, that I was taken because I was trying to help a toddler. But there's no toddler. There's no people that she did this. And it is weird because like she had a boyfriend. So her boyfriend, who is quite upset to say the least, it's now her ex-boyfriend. So I don't know whether she did this for like attention. I just thought, you're using taxpayer money and, time when cops can be, out searching for real missing children. And, it was so crazy that she went so much into this story. Like,
what motivates you to do that? Like, why do that? Other than, I guess, for attention, but that's so weird to me.
I know. That's, if you remember a few years ago, there was that blonde girl that I think she was over in California, Arizona way. She had done a whole thing where she was kidnapped for a couple of days, and she had, 2 kids, a loving husband. And it was she had said that there was like 2 Hispanic women that had kidnapped her. And then it was found out that her ex-boyfriend and her were seeing each other again. And he had her taped in the hotel room of the whole situation because he was going to try to cover his ass in case she threw him under the bus for anything. So she was like, all you need to do is just, stick with the story. But yeah, she was at a hotel with her ex-lover while she's remarried and has kids, and like made up this whole story about 2 Mexican women that had kidnapped her alongside the road.
I don't understand
how people do this. Why do people do this? Now for her, it was to get away from her husband and spend a week in a hotel. Well, actually, I think she spent a month. But like, jeez. Wow,
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, I just have to say out there, people, don't make up stories like that. That is like bringing, investigators and detectives that sometimes work countless hours after they're off the clock to, help find, missing people. So definitely don't do that. Don't pull a Carly or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's just, that's strange. That's just really strange, I guess. I don't know. Kind of like a lot of people here in the chat are asking like, what's like the motive or motivation behind that?
They don't know. And it actually was said, and literally the cops had said, at this point, they're searching every avenue, but all they've been able to come up with is just her motivations were attention. And that's what her boyfriend had kind of said, is that, you know,
so sad.
She made good money. She drove a nice car. I mean, she drove a luxury. Like, I think it was a BMW or Mercedes. I mean, the girl wasn't, you know, hurting for money or anything like that. So it's just real crazy, you know?
It's just out there. I don't know. That is high strange, like the definition of it, if you ask me, but.
And then my last story that I want to bring to everybody is what I entitle From Soccer Fanatic to Scooter Chase, the Cheesy Capture of the Comoras Culinary Fugitive. So check this out. There's this fugitive who got ties to this super dangerous crime group called the Camorra, Camorra. This guy had been on the run for a long time, like 11 whole years. Can you believe it? But guess what? And you won't know how he did it. But they nabbed him right after watching a Napoli match at a Greek restaurant. Yeah. So this fugitive was celebrating his team, soccer team, winning the Series A championship and got a little too carried away. And the police had saw him partying it up on a balcony in Corfu and decided to tail him. They even managed to block his escape from on a motor scooter. Talk about a thrill, huh? The police were like, this dude's passion for soccer and the Napoli team betrayed him big time. Yeah. They had him convicted in absentia for criminal association, tax evasion, and fraud. They brought him before a prosecutor, and now he's stuck in jail until the court decides whether Italy can extradite him or not. They really want him to serve his 14-year prison sentence. But I mean, this guy was even working as a chef in the restaurant where they caught him. So like, I mean, he was able to go under the radar for so long, but because he got out of hand, got a little tipsy, started going crazy, making a ruckus, then they tailed him. And when they pulled him over and, you know, they caught him, and he was 11 years on the run. His lawyer claims that sending him back would ruin his lives. And the Italian police have been keeping an eye on this guy for months, just waiting for him to slip and find out where he was hiding out. And look, their patience finally paid off.
Oh my gosh. That is, I mean,
could you
honestly, I'm really glad that happened. Like, I mean, organized crime is like really freaking scary, but like,
oh yeah,
11 years on the run, and that's what you let slip.
That's what I mean. That's like in America. That's like in America having like, you know, a failure to appear warrant for your arrest or something because you didn't appear at court. And then you go to like Buffalo Wild Wings and like get, you know, shit-eating grin and drunk on your face. And then you go DUI in a car that has unregistered tags and one headlight out. And then you get pulled over and you're like, oh, we got to take you anyway. It's just you do stupid things to get caught. Don't do stupid things if you're running from the law or you have a bad license. I mean, don't you ever, you know, when cops used to be on, I used to always wonder, how can these people carry just like 10 kilos of cocaine and then they have one headlight, the car has fake tags on it. Then when they're pulled over, they're driving with no license, suspended license. It's like, well, then why are you carrying 10 keys of cocaine and you're like driving a car that's totally non-legal on the road? You know what I mean?
Play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Like that's
exactly
like, just the epitome of that. Like I just keep like kind of what you were saying with cops and everything, and how, that has to be staged. I feel like. Because they always run. It's always just like for the stupidest thing. But also I'm like you said, what was the thought process for that?
Right.
But also I guess I'm glad you were like, if you like hurt people, I guess I'm glad that you got caught? ? I don't know. That's strange.
It is strange, but and we're gonna do this every Wednesday, have 2 or 3 stories that each of us our own what we find, like I said, scary, spooky, haunted, stupid, dumb, criminal, interesting, whatever it is, and talk about it just to kind of freshen, break the ice a little bit with everybody. But
Right.
yep, that was my news.
Fantastic.
I'm sorry.
Job, Farrah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So let's get into some thrills and chills. So now, you all, when I had told you before that Courtney was going to be going over a little bit about her haunted house, I'm new to this too. I mean, slowly she would add a little bit, each time we would talk. So I'm going to hear the whole shebang really for the first time together. And I'm so excited to hear about this. I mean, and I think you're right. Earlier when we talked about diving into this more and investigating Courtney, I think we should.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think the person who's most up to date, other than myself and my husband, would probably be Jimmy, because he and I spoke about it when we collaborated like a few weeks ago. So more things have happened kind of since then, but I don't really think that really most of us know to the full extent of kind of what I'm experiencing here, mainly because the more I talk about it, the more things seem to happen. And it's not necessarily something that I want in my home, but also for the life of me, I can't get rid of it. And honestly, like, you'll see why, but I'm not even sure it's my place to have it be removed from here, if that makes sense. So I wrote some notes for all of you guys. If you hear me rustling pages, that's why. But just a bit of a background on me as like a person that has been dealing with this stuff. I've had experiences throughout my childhood. None that I felt like were really all that connected, but like most kids, you have an imaginary friend that may or may not be imaginary. I naturally am a skeptic, but there were just things in my childhood that were too paranormal for me to be able to explain away. Like, I've had my bed shake before, like a legit horror film, right? So, yeah, so my whole life has been paranormally led, but I don't think that things really kind of hit the fan per se until I met my husband back in 2015. He's super sensitive. He probably wouldn't admit it out loud to other than to myself, but we think he has some psychic abilities just because of the stuff he's encountered here, as well as just throughout the course of our 8-year relationship. So we moved in together, years and years and years ago at this point. And when we first moved in together, the activity was literally off the chain. Like, I did a whole episode on it, like I said, with Jimmy. So if you guys want to go and check that out, it's entitled Haunted Houses with Spooky Appalachia. You can see it on my feed as well as on his YouTube channel if you want to go subscribe there.
And just to interject real quick to our viewers, we're actually going to be uploading our playlist for each of our respective podcasts. So if you are new to us through this Haunts in the Cabin, or even if you know us and you haven't listened to that, we're going to make sure that we load it up on the HIC YouTube. So that way you can, people can hear that too. So that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We should do that over the weekend, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to try to get it uploaded sometime this week. Just my life, as you guys are about to see, has been absolute chaos over the last week. But yeah, so my past has been very paranormally led. Obviously, I want to be in this field if that weren't the case. But I will say that you're welcome, Jimmy. I will say that I think that I have an attachment. So when I moved in here and activities started happening, I didn't really think much of it because I've had activity happen literally in every house that I've lived in. And at first, it was just the activity that I know to be, my ghost, for lack of a better word. But then as the weeks and months kind of passed by, I started noticing things that weren't akin to what I'm accustomed with. Like all of our activity that was happening here didn't fall in line with the things that we knew from our past. So truthfully, I think there might be a couple of different spirits here. And I kind of want to just like dig into them one by one and then end with one that I think we're all going to be very interested in. The first, like I said, is the attachment, is what I'm going to call it. But we've had that. Ooh, the banner is cool. So that is more of what I would call like a neutral energy. It's done some stuff that I feel like is poltergeist-like in nature. So like I've had objects disappear, knocking, lights turning on and off, stuff like that, you know, like very cut and dry poltergeist-like activity. But as far as like the kind of its connotation towards us or its energy towards us is then very neutral. Like I've never been able to tell if it is angry or if it's kind, if it likes us, if it doesn't. But I'm assuming if it follows us place to place, it probably likes at least one of us, or it likes the energy that we're giving it, maybe.
I would say that. I mean, to me, poltergeists are, you know, if you're getting like loud banging, that's someone that, and even still doesn't necessarily mean negativity. It means that someone wants your attention.
Right.
So, but have you tried? I mean, this is probably too early of a question yet for your story, but I mean, just because it's on my mind, have you tried using Spirit Talker or Ghost Tube to try to get words out of it? Okay, well, just tell us.
I mean, I have a spirit box too. So yeah, and we'll kind of get into it, like I said, towards the end of this episode, but that's the activity that I've known for a while. The knocking, the lights turning on and off, and objects disappearing and stuff like that, where it didn't necessarily seem nice, but it was more of just like a minor inconvenience more than anything else. And we don't really know where it came from. We have our theories. My main theory is that my husband's parents, they own a property that has a graveyard on it. So we're like, is this spirit, you know what I mean? Like, is this spirit from there and just likes us both together? Who's to say? We have done like a spirit box in like that cemetery and got the name Pew. But it's the Pew Cemetery, like Pugh. Yeah.
It doesn't, and that's the thing you have to always remember too, is that on Spirit Talker, you know, the words, if it says PEW but it's, you know, but the cemetery is PUGH, it also might be because there's only so many words in that database and they're just picking out what's close to, you know.
I use the SB7 spirit, just like an actual like bona fide spirit box. So it said Pew and I'm like, that's, I mean, but
there
also
you go.
It could also just be like we're in there, so obviously if it's haunted, then like that's who's going to be talking to us, are the people who are like buried there, you know. But I've always kind of thought like maybe it was the matriarch of that, or the patriarch of that family. Mr. Pugh is what we called him. I've never been corrected from that, but also, you know, I have no proof for that. That's just my theory. Then there's another spirit here going on to the second like haunting per se that we have in this house. And that one is truly a lot more negative. And I don't want to go as far to say as like it's evil or like demonic, but it's created some situations here that I think are targeting me and my husband and our well-being, which isn't great. And truthfully, Farrah, that really deserves its own episode, I think, just because the activity that we've experienced over the last 8 months, 8 months, is insane. It's on our like our little calendar that I sent you earlier that I think we should cover. But let's just say, guys, it's, and you know which one I'm talking about too.
You know, and that's a good idea, because I think you know, it also goes to show people how real it can become, especially with my haunting that I had, you know, like it got to a tragic point of like the animals getting involved. So you're right. I think that it deserves, I think your house deserves a breakdown just like
it does.
My house does, because it's not just, oh, my house is haunted. This is how far it can go. And sometimes people don't see that. They just see on YouTube like a abandoned place, or not an abandoned place, but like Mackie Mansion, you get to go rent it for the night and there's nobody there. You get to see, okay, you're in a house, but it's always good to like pull why the hauntings are the way they are, who it could be, what the history is. And since we know that there might be some situations involved in your haunting, it's cool that we try to break it down and see if we can get some answers. Like, I'm excited to do that.
Yeah. And I think too, it'll just give you guys like a good idea of what's going on here. Cause I truthfully, with all the years that I've been doing this and my own experiences in the past, I can't describe it other than being 3 distinct energies. Like, there's one that I know, there's two that's new, or that are new, and they have very distinct energies of their own. And we'll get to the second one, this like more negative energy spirit, in a few weeks. But for now, I think that the one that needs to be heard first is the one that I'm going to tell you about today. So we're going to focus on her. I will say, just like a fair warning, this is it connects to a really like grisly true crime case in my town. And it's unsolved. For privacy reasons for myself, as well as out of respect for the victim and the family, I'm going to keep it vague. Especially because it's an active investigation. It's a cold case, but I know that upon my research earlier this week, I know that her family is still wanting answers. And also I don't know if I want to triangulate to where I live. So I'm going to keep this vague, but I do think you guys need the context to fully understand like the nature of this haunting. So the people who owned my house before the person that I bought it from, so not the most recent person, but the one before them, back in the early 2000s, late 90s, they were going through a really grisly divorce, like fighting all the time, really, really bad divorce. And at the time of this event, they were separated. So the husband stayed here in this house. And then his wife, soon to be ex-wife, was renting a little small apartment in town, maybe about 10-ish minutes from here, I'd say. And she worked at like the local market, like less than a block from where this apartment that she was renting was. And their kid was going back and forth, right? So they would spend some time here at this house with dad and then go back and spend some time at the apartment with mom. So one evening, she was walking home from work. Like I said, it was less than a block away. So she gets out into the parking lot and she's walking back to her apartment and she is attacked by an unknown assailant. The following morning, her body is discovered. And like I said, to this day, the crime is unsolved. We have no idea who did it. I will say that her husband was obviously the prime target, the prime suspect in the beginning because he had a clear motive. I will say that they were going back and forth when it comes to like the custody of the kids as well as child support, and the child support and alimony at the time were like a real sore spot with him. So he had a clear motive. Like there's no if, ands, or buts about that. However, he was very cooperative with the police. He let them take like DNA samples. They found DNA on her body and it wasn't his, nor was it hers. So eventually he was acquitted and he now lives about an hour away from here. Still, free as a bird. I'm not going to share my opinions because like I said, it is an open investigation. I don't want to make any allegations. However, I find that to be interesting. But this is something that I came across literally like mere hours ago. I texted Farrah like in disbelief about this because we didn't plan this, just like to get the point out there. today is August 16th, right? 23 years ago this week, this event occurred. She passed away on August 14th. So, as you can imagine, the activity in my house as of this week has been intense. And I think it's because she is not at peace. Farrah, thoughts? You seem like you're holding on to something.
So much to unpack, but you know, yes, it is an ongoing investigation. So I'm just going to call her Betty for Betty and her husband Billy. Betty and Billy. We'll make it simple.
Yeah.
But here's how, and tell me what you all think. Viewers. I'm used to saying listeners, but viewers. But this is how I kind of was trying to sort it out with Courtney when she had told me this. Is that, well, she first told me that keep in mind this happened in winter. Okay, so in wintertime, less sweat. You wear gloves.
Mm-hmm.
His DNA wasn't found on her, but even so, even if it was, his lawyer could come back and say, well, they exchanged kids, she has some of his stuff still at the house, et cetera, et cetera. But
then I texted you and told you that wasn't the case.
Right. And it just seems to me that, especially when we have seen in the past 10 years, so many women and children lose their life from the man, or never mind, I'll have to read. Let me go back. We have seen a lot of men and women lose their life along with their kids when there is a custody battle. When there's a custody battle, it's like the one parent that they know they're going to lose the kid. It's like, okay, well, I want to make you suffer, so I'm going to kill the kid. Remember, there was that one guy, I don't know, a couple years ago that took his son out to the desert, and he freaking suffocated his own son because he didn't want the wife to have custody and said, I'm pretty much gonna. So, but I think that, in this case, I just don't see how he can be just acquitted with the fact that there's so many cons going against him, of the fact that they were going through divorce, they were going through custody, child support. You know how men are afterwards. It's no problem to have kids, but then to pay for kids whenever you're divorced, it always seems it's a problem for a man and a woman. It's always, it makes you upset. Custody. Right. Yeah. It makes you upset because you're working and you don't get the kid 100% of the time. So you're like, why do I got to pay $500 a week? And then
she was also trying to get more. I think that they had come to an agreement. She was like, that's not enough. I will say she was working part-time at this grocery store.
And here's the thing, random. What, we'll end up looking at, what's the crime rate of women being, and she wasn't raped, right? She was just beat to death. Okay, well, if it was a random, guy that, wanted to get his rocks off, he would have beat her and raped her. That's usually men on women kind of attack goes,
right? It's also it's personal. You don't see, you don't beat somebody to death if it's not something if it's a random drive-by situation. They thought that someone knew her, whoever did it knew her, right? And it's just it's so beyond crazy to me. And I will say, like you said, Farrah, at first we were like, oh, it probably happened in the winter because that way he had gloves on, blah blah blah. Not to say that he did it, let me be clear. But then I was like, let me actually go and look up the date just so I have it on hand during the live stream. And I saw it happen this week, 23 years ago. It's that's
the fact that you're getting more stuff happen at your house. It's almost like, I think I messaged you and said, just because it happened at her work, it doesn't mean that, she can't go back there and be going through that struggle there, to try to get your attention, to be that the Foreman brothers, Rocky, Sean, and Josh, they do things where missing and murdered people, they've been able to help people from the spirit box, been able to say a person's name or a left or a right or a name of a forest that actually, oh my gosh, Rocky
I need to talk
from
to her.
Paranormal Nightmare. Well, we said we're going to actually do an Estes method that's never been done before on YouTube. We're going to do one live for you all. Where
in separate areas too. Yeah.
Right. So then the whole, oh, you guys can make this up or whatever. Nope. Courtney's going to be at her house in Montana with earphones on, connected to its spirit box. And I'm going to be here in Tennessee asking Betty questions to see if we can get her to come through and maybe answer some things. She might be able, if you know his name, right? So
I do know his name.
Okay. So, I mean, gosh, just think if that name is said. And here's another thing. He could always have paid a friend of his. He might have not done the deed, and he could be hooked up to a lie detector test. And did you kill her? No. And pass with flying colors because he really didn't. Now, if he was asked, did you have anything to do with her murder? Well, then, but I wondered if they ever gave him a lie detector test.
I need to look into that. I can look into it and see. I will say a lot of it, since he was acquitted and it's such an old case, a lot of it is like in her memory kind of situation, which it should be, truthfully. But I wonder if I could do like, county records or something like that and get more information, because
public records.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Well, I mean, I live here in the house that she wasn't living here, but she owned it at the time of her death.
Oh my
and
gosh.
It's just,
that's gut-wrenching.
That was the
me.
catalyst, right? Like, I didn't know this prior to purchasing the home, because truthfully, like, if you guys know anything about Montana real estate, it's hard to find a house anywhere that you can afford, especially at like a young age. But like, this was literally the only option. And like, we'll touch on it in a few weeks, but like the situation surrounding us purchasing this house is eerie, genuinely eerie. Like, let's just say, like,
you even saying it again, how you just said it in those words. I'm living in the house where my stomach literally just dropped a notch. And we've been talking about it for 20 minutes already, but I just like, I can feel, I just got this like sense of goosebumpy from my ankles up, which is really weird right now.
Ooh.
I just got like a sense of like, I'm hearing she's trying to tell you something. Like, I get this feeling in my chest.
I wouldn't be surprised, I will say, and then we'll get into the activity, I promise, but like that was the catalyst for her family moving out of this house. Like, they sold it to the person who we bought it from not long after. He lived here, grew old to the point where he couldn't take care of 14 acres by himself, moved and sold it to us. We had no idea. It was the only thing we could afford. It was the only option that we had. And like, just to give you guys a taste of what we're going to talk about in a few weeks when we talk about that negative spirit, we were literally like renting another place in a different town, like closer to where we both work. And they literally dropped the lease out from under us, said that we had to move out. So it was like do or die. This was the only option. And we had some strange experiences in this town before we even knew what the town's name was.
Oh my gosh. Let me ask you something. You guys don't have a metal detector, do you? Like, have you combed?
No, but I want to do that.
I was just going to say, have you combed that area to like see if there's anything of hers that was in the backyard or in the basement? Like, do you have a basement?
We don't have a basement. We have a crawl space, and it's creepy as all hell.
Crawl space. You should even go back in there and do a little spirit box session. But that's wow. It's amazing to me that you might have this opportunity to break something
to help
open
somebody
for her. Yeah, from the other side.
That's what I mean. If she is truly here, and she could also just like really love this house, and like I don't blame her. It's a beautiful property. But also she may just be like, you guys are here and you
but
believe
you're
in
a
this.
loving spirit. You're a loving spirit, and she sees you and Todd's relationship, which is positive and loving. Why wouldn't she open up to you and at least try to like give you some sense of her being there? Like, even if it's just, thank you for taking care of my house, because I lost it. Like, I lost it. This was my home, you know?
And I literally was like essentially kicked out. And I mean, like I said too, like you have that where it's an example of like what she, I hate to say it because like she's probably around, but like could have had. But then on top of that, you have people who literally, for like at least a part-time living, investigate and research the paranormal. So like that's the perfect opportunity to be like, hey, I'm here. I'm not at peace because my murder is like that's insanity. But
so
let's get into,
you have like such an opportunity. We should not waste it.
No, I don't want to. And I mean, she may also say like, hey, I'm just here because I loved my time here. This was the best time of my life.
But let's get
and that's great. Yeah, that's great.
Let's
and
capture
like,
that too, you know?
But let's really quick before we kind of wrap things up, I want to tell you guys about the experiences I've had here this week. Because like I said, they've been gnarly. So let's come in hot with the disembodied voices that my husband and I have been hearing independently of one another. This is something that I will say happens to me from time to time, where I'll hear something and it sounds like, you know, somebody mumbling under their breath, and it almost sounds like Todd. So I'm like, hey, what did you say? And he's like, I didn't say anything. And I'm like, that's weird because I heard you talking from like just the next room over. So like, even if you're not talking to me, you could be on Discord playing video games, talking to somebody, which is honestly what I thought it was. But like now he's saying, no, I'm like, I didn't say a word. But last night, even he had the same experience, and that never happens, where he literally came into the living room from our office and he's like, hey, what did you say? And I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't say anything. What are you talking about? Kind of a situation. Like, we're both hearing voices that are mimicking each other's voices, which is terrifying. But it seems to be ramping up this week. Because that's doppelganger-like.
I was just gonna say that, like, that's not good.
No.
Okay, now if you see yourself, that's really not good. But I'm wondering if it takes on steps like a possession. You know how there's,
I don't know if it does.
Yeah,
like there's the faces of demonic possession. Yeah,
exactly. I wonder if there's faces of a doppelganger that at first you start hearing, you know, Courtney hears Todd, Todd hears Courtney, and then it kind of one day you turn the corner to your bathroom and there's yourself, or your spouse, and it's not really your spouse.
That just like actually made me a little nauseous, because I mean, like, that makes sense if that's how spirits interact, especially inhuman ones. Not that I have like anything inhuman in my house, but in the event that it was a doppelganger, that's terrifying. So maybe that's not her, but I will say I've noticed that this week come up. The other thing that I've noticed is we have ghost lights. What do I mean by that? We have the previous owner, as far as I can tell, had these like little Halloween string lights that are in the shape of ghosts that are hanging on our like wood, like basically where our wood shed, like where we put our firewood in the wintertime. So it's a covered area, and he just like put some string ghost lights on there. Farrah, I've shown them to you before.
Yep.
And they are, as far as I can tell, no longer functional. At least for them. They like, wires are cut. They look broken. I can tell at one point they were supposed to be like solar powered. So I do have a working theory that maybe it's getting some solar energy, but it doesn't make sense in the context of like how they operate when I notice them turning on and off. But he left them out there, and because I am who I am, I thought they were cute and decided to just leave them up full time. So there are two that are hanging from the bottom of it that randomly, at the strangest times, like turn on and off and like flicker. And to me, it doesn't make all that much sense. Like if it's the solar battery, you know, it would probably turn all of them on. And also, I will say that it's in a area that's shaded 99% of the time. Like it's surrounded by our house, and it has the shade from the woodshed, like the covering from the woodshed. And it only happens like randomly. And I will say the last time it happened was August 14th. I actually took a video that day, and I will post it to our Instagram. So like our Haunts in the Cabin Instagram, so that you guys can see it. Let me know what you think. Cause like there's the skeptic side of me doesn't think like I like the skeptic side of me thinks that it's solar powered, but also the part of me that knows the paranormal and knows what's going on here knows that the wire's cut, knows that like barely any sun gets over there, and knows that if it was functioning, the whole string would light up, not just two of the little ghosts.
Exactly. That is weird. And, you know, that brings me to the fact that there are lights out that now have come out in the ghost as a ghost hunting tool it's like a string of lights, and that, you know, for that specific reason, because ghosts are known to, for attention, mess with the lights. Now, those were there, right? Before you moved in there.
Yeah, they were there. At least I think the previous owner put them up. They don't look like they're 20-something years old. They may be like 5 or 6 years old.
Right.
But like you could tell they were like, you use this for a season and take them down, or they're like gonna break. Right. Or you use them for a season and then you throw them away. They're not like for long-term use, you know, unless you were only going to use them for like the Halloween season and take them down.
And I saw them. They look like disintegrated. Like the wiring doesn't look great at all.
No, I mean, and like I said, the skeptics' argument here, like it could just be solar powered. However, I'll let you guys decide. I'll post on Instagram when we're done here so you guys can see it. But like, truthfully, I'm so torn. And it's weird to me that the last time it happened was August 14th. Before I even knew that was the date that she passed.
That is insane. That is, you know, that is just, I can't wait to get more. And as, you know, Courtney and I have discussed Haunts in the Cabin, we're letting you all know just what we've experienced or what our personal opinions are. It doesn't mean that you got to believe or you don't believe.
Yeah.
This is all, we'll always just put information out there, and you're going to be the ones that make up your own mind what it is. It's a free country. That's what we do. But the good thing why Courtney and I came together is because she is more skeptic. I'm more of the believer, you know, until someone shows me otherwise, which not many people then can show otherwise. But, you know, you are looking at it with all the facts, you know, 99% of shading, it doesn't get much sun. It just,
and it's,
I don't know.
I live here. Like, and the other thing too, is if it was solar energy, at least in my opinion, it would probably turn on every day, or at least every sunny day. It was cloudy here on the 14th. And I mean, obviously sun can still shine through, but if it's already shaded, it was weird to me. Like, I can't explain it. You guys are welcome to explain or like share your opinions. Cause I mean, I'm not like an electrician. I'd love the insights, because it's creepy, especially in comparison with like everything else that's going on here. And keep in mind, she's not the only spirit here, at least in my opinion. There's like several. So let's move on to the other.
Let me mention something about, let's remember, you're on Montana land where back in the day, Indians, you know, so that have you dug into that? Is there any?
Yeah, I will say, well, I live, again, I'm really trying to not triangulate to where I live. Cause like,
well, no, yeah.
Given the facts, like I think that you guys could probably like are intelligent enough to figure it out. Please don't dox me on the internet, but I don't live very far from Yellowstone National Park. Less than an hour in several different directions I can get to it.
And look how many people go missing in Yellowstone National Park.
You know how haunted that park is? Like, it's insanely haunted. And on top of that, the land, like the mountains range that I literally live on, is supposed to be sacred. I don't want not sacred. It's known for being like super haunted. Like the natives did not want any part of it.
They're guarding it.
Well, I think they're kind of fearful of it. They didn't want anything to do with it.
Oh, wow. That's different. Because usually.
So like not sacred.
Well, maybe it's because the white man, came and took it, and then it's like it's tainted after that. You know what I mean?
Don't know.
Because then their spiritual sense isn't there.
They said that there are, from what I've learned and gathered in my time here, it's supposedly just known for a lot of skinwalker-like activity. So fun stuff.
Then let me look at some comments. So it just to get a couple comments here, which we so thank you for doing. And I mean, we have like the greatest friends.
We really have the greatest support system.
So Larry said, y'all are doing a great job. Jimmy from Spooky Appalachia said the natives also didn't want to come to West Virginia. They said there were giants, which I thought I did hear. That's a good point, Jimmy. I thought I did hear about Montana had giants. Somewhere out west.
I don't know about giants, but I know that these parts, supposedly, you guys know how I feel about cryptids, were active for thunderbirds. Like this is one of the areas where they originated. Yeah. I think that's a little further north, but like if it's like a 20 wingspan bird, I'm sure they could fly down here too. But.
And see, just add everything in there. Add a possible, a murder, the land, the spiritual sense of it, the Native American spirits that add into that, the skinwalker legend. I mean, you probably have so many going on. There could be a portal out there that is like your house, your land is like a gateway. It's like a gateway for spirits to come through,
I will also say too that there's Todd and I joke, and like it's a really morbid joke, so like just a fair warning. There are these little like rock piles on our property, and we've always joked that they're graves. And then there's a part of me with that joke in mind that does not want anything to do with them, but also it's like, what's out there? What is that? I'll take pictures of those as well and post them on Instagram probably tomorrow.
Do that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's this house is weird. So yeah.
You need to get the spirit box out there too.
I will say I've done the spirit box out by the lights when they're on, and we've gotten some weird stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the thing is I can't predict when it's going to happen, but maybe next time they turn on, I'll just do a recording on my phone, do spirit box, and we can post it on social media just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. It's strange. It's really strange. And the other thing too, that I've noticed a lot this week, just to kind of get back to like the stuff that's been happening. Farrah, a couple weeks ago, maybe it was about a couple months ago, probably at this point, I told you that I saw a shadow figure in my living room. And it was quite jarring because I've never seen one in person before. And then to see one in your house, it's terrifying. Recently, as of this week, and honestly the week before as well, and I've been kind of in denial about it, I've been seeing them in the reflection of my TV walking behind me. And I have no way of like it's to the point where I'm like, first time it happened, I was like, oh, maybe it was like the furniture back there because it's in my kitchen. Like the reflection goes into my kitchen. So I'm like, maybe it was the refrigerator, even though that doesn't at all look like a person. But me rationally trying to figure out what it was, because I'm sitting there on my computer writing a story for Haunts, and I like look up at my like turned off TV screen because I see something out of the corner of my eye walking across, and I'm like, okay, that looked like a shadow figure, but it's, I've only ever seen one in the house in front of me. So like maybe my eyes are just playing tricks on me, trying to rationalize it. It happened again last night, twice over the course of about half an hour.
Oh my God.
And my husband is in the other room playing video games with some college friends. So I didn't want to like say anything, even though they know me well enough to know, like his friends are my friends too. And they know me well enough to know that like, I believe in this stuff, but it's like, that's the last thing you want to do when you're having like virtual guys night playing video games. So I'm just sitting here suffering in silence, watching stuff go on behind me. And I will say, Farrah, as you know, our kitchen is like where all of the activity kind of our kitchen and bathroom, which they share a wall.
Okay.
That's kind of where everything sort of congregates, I guess. Like that's where I feel like most of the activity occurs. Not to say that it doesn't happen in other places. It's just few and far between. Whereas in the kitchen and in the bathroom, mind you, that's where all of the piping is, so they can get energy from the water and stuff like that. That's where everything happens. And I will say, Farrah, now that you brought up the portal, we have the previous owner, I don't know why he did this. Probably he didn't know any better, but he had 2 mirrors literally like, Jimmy know this as well, propped up and like taped.
That's it.
Not taped, but like essentially glued into like the windowsill of our, like the window looking out over our sink. So there's the water, there's a portal with mirrors facing each other, and that right outside that window is where the woodshed is with the lights on it.
Well, that concludes this tonight's evening. No, seriously.
There's like, I'm done.
That right there was the nail in the coffin for me right there. Like,
do you want to know what the nail in the coffin was for me? Just throwing this out there. We've been saying that this previous owner was attacked and, beat to death, which, sorry, it's hard for me to like say that out loud because it's like she lived here. She is here. Even if it's like a non-intelligent energy, because it could very well be. I don't think so, but like a part of her is still here. You can't convince me otherwise. So, as you know, I don't know if you guys knew, but I know that a lot of people who are in here were on our live stream last night, and I was out of it. I had a really bad headache that eventually turned into a migraine after the live stream was over. And I just like wasn't well, but I wanted to be a part of the conversation, so I decided to stick through. But if you guys know me, listen to the show, come on to the Paranormal Project and listen to us there as well, you know that I was not talking as much as I normally do. I was not as involved as I normally am. I was also having a lot of like weird glitches happening throughout that whole thing, which never happens because I always get on my phone because it has more stable internet than my computer does. And then I was thinking about it today when we were talking about it, like about the true crime case and the murder and everything. And I was thinking about how I never get migraines ever, like once in a blue moon. And it makes me wonder if if the cause of death, actual cause of death, was blunt force trauma to the head.
Well, that could have been a part of it. I mean, she could have been hit in the head on top of everywhere else. Yeah. But a lot of times spirits are said to make you feel what they felt to get, like I said earlier in the show, get your attention. Whether, like you said, she's just saying, hey, I'm glad you're here. It's so nice to see a couple, not have the chaos like I did with my last relationship, is what she's saying, but you got so much stuff going out there and so much stuff that fed it, that feeds it. But I'm with you, like, to be there and touch the same walls that she touched or the same door handle that she touched. I get deep into those things like that. You know what I mean? I'm telling you right now, I feel your sense of jarring with the shadow figure, because the shadow figure that I caught out in the shed, when you see it and you finally realize, okay, all the noises and the walking and the creaking, okay, now I see something for the first time. I mean, I not only got to see it in the vertical form, I got to see it manifest from a blubby blob to then going vertical and then going off. It does
and
jar
it was
you.
Creepy. That
and
video
I can
was
feel it
like freaky.
from you. That
yeah.
Now, did you ever get cold? Like, did you get cold spots after you saw it, like in your peripheral vision and the TV? Like, could you feel a sense of it?
Yes, but yes and no. The weather here is very weird. So in the morning, it's incredibly cool, like in the 40s in August. Right?
Oh, wow.
And then, it'll get warmer throughout the day and stuff. So when I saw it the first time when it was actually close enough to be like, for me to feel something like that, it was just cold in my house. Mm-hmm. That said, the other times that I've seen it in like I said, just in like the TV screen behind me, it's been too far away for me to be able to notice. And to be honest, that's like not where my mind went. It was more of just like a holy crap, what was that?
Do you have a video camera?
I don't. I need to. We've talked about it.
Yeah, you should get that one that I got that's like $60, and then it sits on your ring light tripod, and then you can have it face one night, have it face like kitchen TV, and then one night bathroom kind of area, and just see what you catch a couple hours, and then go through it and
that might be something fun. I don't know. It might also seem like something like watching paint dry, but if you guys want, if I can figure out a way to get one running like overnight, just on live stream, and you guys can see if anything weird happens. I will say we go through like periods of intense activity and then nothing, which is weird.
But see, we have already said with our channel, number one, we're not here to make up paranormal shit and, you know, and fake stuff. I mean, I think a lot of people already know my situation. I've had people out here to validate my situation, which is cool.
Yeah.
You know, now we're going to validate your situation and work through it together. All of us. Remember, that's what we started this for, was to, you know, listen to other people's stories, help everyone deal with it, be a good support system, and, you know, just try to figure out yours is like a really good case study to see of a haunted place. And I'll even try to do, you know, the rest of the time that I'm here in this place, you know, we're going to do, I think next Wednesday, we're going to do an SD session for my place where I'll wear the earphones. Courtney will ask the questions and see. But yeah, I mean, we should definitely dig into it and just keep, you know, capturing as much as you can to post it. And all of you guys, the more comments that you leave in our videos, the better algorithm. Yeah. So, you know, definitely if you guys come up with any theories on what, you know, could be in her house after we're done tonight, leave some comments. Let us know. Let us know what your thoughts are, because we love to get you all involved. That's the whole point of this show. So
yeah, for sure. And obviously you guys, I think that we all are a pretty good support system anyways. Feel free to just like message us and let us know what you think, because truly I'm dumbfounded on like all of the weird synchronicities that I've had this week. Also, you have to keep in mind too, like I've been sick for the last week as well. And like, I don't get sick very often. I sure as hell don't get migraines.
That could be the negative entity doing that to you.
Yeah. Too. Well, I mean, it's also hard for me to attribute like what is going on with who, because there's only one that I'm really familiar with. And that's one that's just kind of like, you know, it doesn't seem like it has any strong feelings towards me either way, other than it just like won't leave us, which is weird. But, you know, I've never had it. I don't think it's ever done anything that's like scared me or like it startled me before, but it's never done anything like to maliciously cause fear, you know.
Well, keep documenting as you've been. When you see something, hear something, write it down. So next Wednesday, you know, we can see in a week's time what all is happening, kind of compare it. You know, is it staying the same? Is it getting worse? I mean, just following along your story is, you know, a great story. So
it's intense on this side of the story, but yeah,
it's intense, definitely. But we're also going to dive into more about the murder and see what, you know, we can come up with.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, she deserves that. Truly, if that's what it is that she is trying to get my attention for, then like, who am I to not try to help her?
Right. Do you know how old she was when she passed?
She was like in her like 30s or 40s.
Oh God, she was young. So, I mean, you know, she totally had unfinished business. And
I think she was 30. Hold on. I can look. I have her, keep talking. I have her find the grave.
Yeah. I think that, you know, she might not be wanting us to be Nancy Drew or anything, but, you know, she still had something to happen to her. Maybe she just wants her story told. And since we all know that spirits and paranormal can go through electronic devices, hopefully in the world out there and you're there in that house right now, she's there hearing you that you're telling her story. Yeah. And I think that's, let's see how that does anything too. That's why I said from here to next Wednesday, from right now when we're done, keep it
in my little notebook. But I will say, and this is really sad, I just looked it up. She was 29.
Oh my God, dude. That's way too young.
Yeah, 2 years older than what I am right now. And that's heartbreaking because she
was
and
that also might be because you're young too. You're young. You're almost around her age.
Maybe she wants a friend. And I'm like down for that, but it's sad. It's like, it's just gut wrenching, but that's all that I have as far as like her story. We'll dive into it throughout the season, obviously, and I'll tell you more about the situations going on here. We also have some really cool guests lined up too. I think we have one more guest slot for this season to come and tell. It doesn't have to be like haunted house related.
No, it could just be anything scary, spooky experience, UFO. It does Bigfoot. It could be anything. An experience is an experience, no matter what it comes from. But another thing too, everyone, make sure that you share this video, Haunts in the Cabin, go to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. Tell everyone if you like the show to come next Wednesday. Definitely get the link for Haunts in the Cabin, which Courtney and I will post the actual link to Haunts in the Cabin for YouTube. So that way you can share the link with your friends, family, because we want to get a lot of people in our live chats, a lot of people supporting the show. I don't think there's anyone that's doing this. And I think we're going to bring something raw and going. I mean, I think already the way we did this show, our first one, was a freaking banger.
I do too. I thought this was going to be chaotic because when we did our preseason live, my camera just like stopped working. We got it figured out.
Yeah, like as long as you all know too, when you do live, I mean, again, yes, we're in 2023, but we're both in different places. We both have different internet providers. We're both using, like a StreamYard live recording kind of thing. Technology sucks sometimes. It's not perfect, so just bear with us. But like I said, spread the word, and even sit there and keep the video on if you're at lunch break or at work. Let's get our watch views up. Let's get our viewer list up, so that way we can make this show into something that we all can be proud of and grow. Get even, more famous guests on, or paranormal investigation groups that, have millions of subscribers. So I think, like I said, help us make Haunts in the Cabin something, like I said, we can all be proud of. Support the show, like, subscribe, share, comment. And I can't wait to see everyone again next Wednesday. And Courtney, you will have your little breaking news segment. Did everybody like that as well? I mean,
I really enjoyed it. I thought that was a lot of fun. Just like a nice way to like start everything. I mean, obviously, if you guys want us to just get right into it, we can. But keep in mind, next week, I think is going to be something that no one has really done before. I know that other investigators and other researchers have done the Estes method. Obviously, it's really obvious. It's famous. But I had never seen it done with two people in completely separate states on a live stream. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen people go to different rooms and like that's all fine and good. But have you ever seen anyone do it where you are in separate states happening live? I think that this is going to be groundbreaking, and I'm really excited.
Right. I just got chills. And that's what I mean. We're going to do things. We're going to cover topics that, Courtney and I, just to give you a little bit of topics that were like thrown around for, next season or just thrown in. We're going to be covering, like the Manson family murders, cults, different, overseas, the haunted forest, Japan. We're going to do
strange locations.
Strange locations. So I'm telling you, you're going to love this show. You're going to love what we bring. Please just tell everybody that you can. We would love you forever. And other than that, do you have anything to end with, Courtney?
I don't think so. I guess just thank you guys. I'm looking now because obviously I was telling the story throughout this whole thing. You guys have given us so much love just from like the first episode. And I mean, I don't think that either of us can thank you guys enough. So truly, thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting and just being here and listening to my chaotic story that I have going on, because this house it's insane. I don't know how else to describe it. But
and I think we're gonna make a mark on this YouTube, guys. So
I hope so, man.
All right. Well, until then, stay tuned, stay haunted for the twisted tales that lie ahead.